Okay, let's talk about Principia Discordia now.
What about Principia Discordia?
How did that come to be? How what forces in the world brought that about?
Excuse me.
And how's it changed your life?
Well, a young friend of mine and I, back in, well, I say young, he was just a couple of years younger than I was, back in the 50s, were sitting around in a bowling alley in 1958, to be exact, somewhere in the vicinity of Whittier, California. And we were discussing philosophy, and we were talking about order and chaos. And my theory was a Darwinistic theory that order emerged from chaos and was in fact simply the prevailing form of chaos. And Greg's theory was that order was projected on the universe, that it didn't exist at all, that it was a creation of the human mind, that order was entirely in perception and had nothing to do with what was going on out there in a completely chaotic universe. And so somewhere in the middle of our argument, Greg happened to mention that there was a Greek goddess of chaos and confusion, and her name was Eris, spelled E-R-I-S. And I said, well, you know, what we need is not so much an explanation for order. We both agree to that. What the world needs is an explanation for chaos and why there's so much of it. And so at that point we decided to start a religion worshipping the Greek goddess of chaos and confusion, who the Romans called Discordia, and thus Discordianism was born.
Did something I've been curious about, did Robert Anton Wilson and them approach you about the ideas about using this in their Illuminatus trilogy?
Well, what happened was Wilson wrote me before he ever got around to, before the Illuminatus trilogy was even a glimmer in his eye, and he said that very early in our relationship that one of the things that we needed were God models that were appropriate to anarchism. And he had written some stuff about Taoism and about the spirit of the valley, the eternal female, and about Shang dynasty, matriism, and so on and so forth. And so I suggested to him Eris Discordia, and I told him about the Discordian Society, and he was just enormously enthused about it, plunged into it, got very active in it, and is responsible for a lot of our creeds and dogmas and so on and so forth.